Good evening and welcome to Vax Facts and FAQs. Vax Facts and Facts, FAQs 19. Discussing COVID-19 updates, flu up. There we go. How you can kick off the year protected, how you can restore your protection, and talking about children and vaccination. And of course, we will end with our FAQs. So beginning with those COVID-19 and flu updates, there is a smaller percentage of counties in the US that are experiencing the high COVID-19 community levels. While we were in the holiday season, those numbers did increase, but now they are a little bit lower. Wayne County, Michigan has a medium community level, and there are a couple of nearby counties. As you can see right over here, there are a couple nearby counties that do have high community levels. And like we always say, monitoring these community levels and knowing these community levels can help guide which prevention measures that you you participate in, and what you can do to and what you can practice to minimize your risk of COVID-19 exposure. For the medium community level classification, it is recommended that you stay up to date with your COVID-19 vaccines, of course, get tested if you have symptoms, wear mask if you are test positive or have exposure to someone with COVID-19, and wear a mask on public transportation. You, of course, can choose to wear a mask at any time, and it could also be very important for someone who is at higher risk for COVID. You may take that additional precaution and wear a mask indoors to protect yourself. So flu activity continues to decline post-holidays, along with COVID-19. Many states are experiencing a relatively low activity compared to that holiday season. In Michigan, the last time we talked about flu activity during the holiday season was experiencing low levels of flu activity, and we continue to see that. I believe there was an increase, but it's come back down in that month time frame since we last chatted about flu activity in the US. Vaccination, it remains to be the best protection against infection for COVID and flu. And it's not too late to get vaccinated. While COVID infections and hospitalizations and deaths are low and flu activity is low, get vaccinated. And especially with the flu, there can be a misconception that you have to get the flu vaccine like right in September, right in October, but where they offer vaccines, where they have them, they are always willing to provide them to you. So it is not too late to get this protection, which is the best protection that we can offer, which is vaccinations. And while this is true, vaccination is the best protection, you can get additional protection by layering additional measures that you can participate in, such as wearing a mask, social distancing, utilizing testing when you're not feeling well or you are exposed to COVID-19. And with the flu, if you're not feeling well, it's really encouraged that you get to the doctor so they confirm that you have flu and prescribe you an antiviral if necessary. And same with the COVID-19 vaccine infections. If you aren't feeling well and you confirm that it's COVID-19 via testing, and if you are at higher risk, you might want to let your doctor know to see if antivirals are something that they recommend for you. And this is my favorite cheese model, which is the multiple layers that you can utilize to protect yourself against COVID-19 infection and serious outcomes, including hospitalization and death. There are other tools that are important, and we should emphasize those always because this layering effect is really beneficial. This model is great because it breaks it down into personal responsibilities and shared responsibilities. And the first responsibility is physical distance and staying home if you're sick. Then there's masks, hand hygiene. If you're in a crowded space, maybe you'll limit your time there. Avoid touching your face, and eyes, nose, mouth, avoiding those areas, fast testing and contact tracing. And then we move down into personal responsibilities, which is, staying up to date and getting those government messagings and getting support and information from those reliable sources, quarantine and isolation, making sure that you are doing that. And I would also add notifying the people that need to know that you were sick, notifying your job and things like that. And then also vaccines lastly. And so you can see as you can really mitigate the risk of infection. And a lot of these things can be applied to flu, RSV, and other viruses to help you mitigate this risk in this time of the year where it seems like we all get sick. So we're going to talk about restoring our protection, right? So we know that we have the booster, and now we have the bivalent booster. So the CDC recommends one updated booster dose for everyone aged 5 years and older if it has been at least 2 months since your last dose. So this is really important because we are seeing low numbers of vaccination and boosting in this younger population. And it's important to remind people that this is an option now, that 5 years and older, you can get boosted. For children aged 6 months to 4 years old who have completed the Moderna primary series, and if it has been at least 2 months since their last dose, are also eligible for the bivalent booster. So it's really important that you restore this protection and this large range of people that are eligible because we know that this really provides like an awakening, another boost to your immune system so that it is ready to fight off COVID-19 if and when it comes in contact with COVID-19. So that's really important. So break it down for you here. So what you need to know is that updated bivalent boosters became available for people 12 years and older, and then it was 5 years and to 11, and then most recently it was 6 months to 4 years. So this is like a timeline order of when these became available. So it's okay if you missed it. It's newer, and so it's important that you get this bivalent booster age 6 months to 4 years old, protecting the little ones to complete the primary series. And for the flu, each year it places a large burden on the health and well-being of children and their families. And annual flu vaccination, as I've said so many times, it is the best protection against the flu and its potentially serious complications in children. And this is especially true for for children that have chronic health issues or otherwise are immunocompromised, because these complications can be they can be more susceptible to these complications that we talk about when it comes to getting these infections. So it's important that that specific population is protected, and sometimes they can't get vaccines. So again, vaccinating the bubble around them can also offer them a great deal of protection. So that's why it's important for our children to get vaccinated if able, and for us to get vaccinated so we can provide that little bubble around them. And we should vaccinate children because they can be eligible, right? They can protect family members, including siblings who are not eligible, and who may become at an increased risk. So they can be a part of that protection bubble, that herd immunity, so to speak, so that they can be protected. Vaccination can also help children from getting seriously sick if they do catch COVID-19 or the flu. So let's say you get vaccinated and unfortunately you do still contract COVID-19 or the flu, it can still mitigate the risk of hospitalization, death, and severe illness. And vaccinating children 5 years and older can help them stay in school and help them safely participate in all of the things that children love to do, and mitigating, again, that risk with being in contact with other children and other people, and, poorly ventilated spaces, the things that we really have to take in with life, and it comes with life sometimes. You can't sanitize every single surface. You can't hand sanitize 24/7. So having the best protection to help mitigate the risk where we can't control them is really important. Great. So now we're going to move into our frequently asked questions. And the first question is the vaccine causing heart attacks? And so this question stems from a football player named Damar Hamlin, who plays on the Buffalo Bills, went into cardiac arrest during a Monday night football game. And it was a very scary scene to watch. I was actually watching the game when it happened, and it was really sad, but it was beautiful to see the community come together, not just the football community, but Cincinnati Bengals and everybody come together to support the football community and their family and Damar Hamlin's charity. But unfortunately, social media users and several news writers spread false claims that the player's cardiac arrest was due to COVID-19 vaccines. And others speculated without evidence that maybe the player's injury wasn't caused by the vaccination, but maybe it was a contributing factor, like the vaccination made his injury worse or his heart attack worse. But this is not true. I cannot stress that enough, that it is not true. And there's no evidence that vaccination leads to heart attacks or cardiac arrest. And then it's also important to know that there is a big difference between cardiac arrest and heart attack. We won't dive into that today, but you really should make sure you're getting your information from reliable sources, because misinformation is often incorrect on multiple levels. Misusing phrases such as heart attack and cardiac arrest, not taking into account that we don't know a player's vaccination status when they were last vaccinated, and so it's hard to it's not good to jump to conclusions, especially when there's so much hesitancy surrounding vaccines in the first place. So if you are really concerned, I would recommend that you reach out to your doctor, your pharmacist, someone that you trust to give you the correct information. And I want to let you know that it is not true. And sadly, it's more likely that you'll experience heart complications from contracting COVID-19 infection rather than the vaccine. Now, you might also hear the term, myocarditis. And myocarditis is the enlargement of the heart that we were seeing after COVID-19 vaccination in a very specific population. And it was almost always reversed or it went away on its own. So myocarditis, again, different than heart attacks, different than cardiac arrest, was an outcome we are seeing from the vaccine that the CDC was aware of and reported on. And it's something that was seen and found out about and addressed. The heart attacks that seem to be happening, to celebrities and things like that, they're not truly random because heart attacks occur in the United States. They occur globally each year and is an unfortunate health event, but it is not caused by COVID-19 vaccination. Next question. Why do mask requirements differ at the local and state level and among different businesses, workplaces, and schools? This is a great question because I know that it can be confusing, like, oh, I go here and mask required, I do this and a mask is required, but other places it's not required. And so the gist of it is that the authority for making masks a requirement often resides at the state and local level. The CDC issues different recommendations and guidances to help inform these policies and mandates and things like that. But it's often at the local or state level that these decisions are made. And public health officials, employers, and schools, and other businesses and entities really have control on whether they have a mask requirement. So the decision can be informed by the CDC and the federal government, and the information that they provide, like the COVID-19 community levels that we talk about every month, that can be utilized to inform the decisions that are made regarding masks. But again, it's up to the state, local level, and a lot of people, it's like, oh, my job is requiring them still, or they're not requiring them. These private places, they do have that option to require a mask, and it could ebb and flow the requirement based on the different COVID-19 community levels and things like that. So we just ask that everyone do their part and wear the mask when it's asked that you wear the mask. It can't harm you. It only offers more protection and another layer of protection from these infections. The second to last question actually is the Pfizer bivalent booster safe for adults? And this question stems from the CDC investigating a potential link between the Pfizer bivalent COVID-19 booster and increased stroke in older adults. So this was an investigation conducted by the CDC to explore this potential outcome. And so this was investigated by the CDC and the FDA, and they found no increased risk of stroke after vaccination. And the important thing to highlight is our vaccine safety system can detect risks that may not be caused by the vaccines. Essentially, it notifies us of everything, all the potential outcomes, and it takes further investigation to see if it's truly a potential outcome of the vaccine. So this is really just a sign that our systems are working and they are in place, so that if there's any increased number of any outcome that could potentially be from the vaccine, it can be addressed and investigated immediately, so that we can hear from the CDC and the FDA on how we need to govern ourselves accordingly. So this time, the investigation that occurred determined that there was not an increased risk or true safety risk for stroke in older adults. And again, this is a sign that our systems are working, which is good. This is a question that I haven't addressed in a while, so I wanted to have this time again. And it was, when will the pandemic end? And is it over now? And I want to first start by saying we have come a long way in combating the virus. Honestly, we are truly on the right track for the pandemic to slow or to be over, or whatever that looks like. We don't know what that's gonna look like, post pandemic, truly post pandemic, and not in this weird awkward stage that we're in. So cases and hospitalizations and deaths are lower compared to the start of the pandemic, for sure. And this is accredited to vaccinations. We improved our testing, and now we have treatment options. But sadly, we're not 100% in the clear. There are still hundreds of deaths per day from COVID-19, and new variants are circulating, popping up, and it's taking ongoing monitoring and investigating to kind of figure out what needs to be done and how we should govern ourselves. And truly, right now, I don't think we can say that it's over. It's a weird, awkward stage. I don't know what we would call it, but deaths are still occurring, variants are still popping up. Our vaccination system that we're utilizing, it's honestly confusing. And so making sure we can just clean up everything and make sure we can package it nicely to where we can maintain our immunity, maintain our hospitalization rates, maintain our death rates when it comes to COVID-19. I think that's more so what that would look like. And I'm not sure that we're there yet. So our job is to, stay vigilant and stay up to date and stay educated. Though I know it's exhausting, to still have to know what measures that I need to be taking, we need to be taking to stay protected against COVID-19. It's been 3 years now. I understand that it's exhausting to keep having these conversations, but it's part of our duty to protect ourselves, our families, our communities, to stay vigilant so that we can all stay safe and hopefully reach that goal of it being over. I personally can't say that it's over right now. I don't think it's over. I think we still have a little bit of ways to go to where everyone can feel safe and secure with this virus circulating. And I think there are some additional steps that can happen to make that the case. So public health measures like dealing with the flu and mental health and air quality and more, it will be ongoing. You will continue to hear from public health regarding COVID-19 well after it's over, because we have to maintain and we have to make sure that everyone is up to date always. So you'll continue to hear about it. It won't go away, I don't think, unfortunately. But there's a lot that needs to occur so that not only can we stay protected, but so our communities can heal from COVID-19. It impacted a lot. And so those are ongoing public health measures that we'll see post-COVID. So that's all I have for today. And thank you for watching. And as always, if you have questions or feedback, you can reach out to us by email at reach@nkfm.org, or you can visit our website, which is nkfm.org. And we have all sorts of great materials and information that you can utilize on your journey to staying updated and staying healthy. So we'll be back next month with another video. And until then, have a great night.